Full Bloom is brought to you in part by the following. Welcome to Full Bloom, the award-winning show that celebrates life. Here's your host, Zita Christian.
Hi everyone, welcome to Full Bloom. I'm Zita Christian. I'm really delighted tonight to introduce you to a good friend and her daughter, a very creative mom and daughter team. To my immediate right, Chrissy Brault, and to her right, my friend Sharon Schulze. Welcome, ladies. Glad you could be here tonight.
Thank you.
And what's really nice is Sharon and Chrissy, I asked them to come on board to tell you about this wonderful business they've created, because as soon as I saw the stuff that they're making, I thought I have to share this with you because this stuff is really nice. Everything about it, the quality, the ability to customize, the colors, everything. And the name. Chrissy, what's the name of your business?
Teeny Beanies Bibs More.
Teeny Beanies Bibs More. Very, very cute. So when did you, Sharon, when did you two start the business?
Almost 2 years ago. I think it was May 2 years ago. We heard about an opportunity for a craft fair without a whole lot of input as far as having to, it cost a lot of money or needing to have a lot of things to get started. So we decided that maybe we could sell some of our things.
So that was about 2011, right around there.
Mm-hmm.
And why? Like, what made you say, I want to do a business that features baby items? And we're going to take a look at all those in a minute. But why baby items?
Well, I think Chrissy can answer that one because she's the one that first got going on doing the baby things.
Just when I was pregnant with my son Owen, I started knitting a hat. I kind of dabbled in knitting in the past, just doing scarves, but I kind of got bored with it and stopped. And I had a lot more fun doing a baby hat. It was like a little pumpkin hat, and it was cute, and it was, easy, and I really enjoyed it. And then once my son was born and he had a couple of the hats that I made, every time someone saw them, they would say, oh, where'd you get the hat, or who'd you buy it from? And when I said that I made it, people just kept saying, oh, you should really sell those to people because people would like that. And so I kind of did a few, and like she said, once there was a craft fair opportunity, we thought we'd give it a try and see. And my mom started making the soothers. He had gotten one of these when he was born, and I didn't really know what it was, but
can I see that?
Sure.
So this is called a soother. So it's got a little thing to.
But it's really just a sensory item. So mostly uses a kind of, we call a transitional item for a baby or a toddler, where they can use it to soothe themselves. All the tags are different textures and colors and sizes. And one of the things that anybody who's had a baby knows is babies love tags and things like that. So, or little silky things. So. It's a really soft material, and it's interesting colors, and my son, and especially even when they're so little, he started playing with that one gift kind of first because it doesn't require much for fine motor skills. He can kind of just, grab it even when they don't have, too much for dexterity. So it was one of the first things he played with, and then once he got older, he really kind of clung on to it, and he has his favorite tag on there, so... she had started making those, so those are the first couple of things we sold.
Wow, that's so. When you talk about the first thing that comes to my mind is two of you working together. How do you divide the responsibilities, or was it a matter of you liked making hats and Sharon, you liked making the soothers and blankets and other things? How did it come to just what you liked, or was there a different method to the division?
Pretty much what we like to do. She was already doing the hats, and I knit as well. I've knit since I was probably about 6 or 7, and I was knitting like little bib and burp cloth outfit, sets, little washcloths, things like that. And so I thought, well, I could make those to take along too, and then kind of fell into the soothers because she had been looking for replacement ones, and I was like, I can make one of those. And so, I went to the store and checked out the ribbons and all the neat fabrics that I didn't know existed, and decided, this is a good thing, and people do seem to like them for their children. So,
well, I think too, when your little boy Owen, so you've got kid testing right there at home to tell whether or not this is effective. And what you might want to change or add to or adapt or something like that. One thing though that occurs to me, I have a daughter also, and we've done some things together where I've helped her in her business. What are the pros and cons, the challenges, the opportunities of the mom and daughter working together? And neither one of you jump in right here.
I mean, I think a lot of it works. I think, we know each other well enough, and we know what we like to do, and, how we run, and we kind of each do our things independently. And then, as far as going to the craft fairs and getting things together, we kind of just, there's certain things that each of us are better at or like more that we've kind of just taken on. So I think it's kind of been easier to split responsibilities as just different parts of the business, not the making things, but just because we kind of automatically know what each of us would prefer. And
like she is not a person, I think, who really likes numbers a whole lot, and as you know, I do.
Yeah.
So,
she does that, and the thing.
I was the person that went and checked out the tax site and got us a tax ID number and that kind of thing. Checked into what we needed to do with the state, and actually our first bigger craft fair was in another state, so I had to find out what to do there and get a tax ID number for them as well. So, that kind of stuff is a little more my cup of tea than hers, and I think both of us do a lot of the kind of looking around for opportunities and things of that nature,
and ideas and designs and all that kind of stuff. I'm thinking that one of the challenges has to be, and I don't mean between the two of you, but the business itself, competing with big manufacturers of baby items. We should talk about the items that you've got first for a minute here. So this is a soother, which I think, what a clever idea. I mean, if these were around when my daughter was born, I'm embarrassed to say I didn't realize it. Please tell me this is something relatively new.
I think it's pretty new.
Yeah. I didn't know what it was when she got one.
Yeah,
I've never seen anything like it.
There wasn't a tag on the one that I had gotten as a gift, and I had no idea what it was. But then once I looked it up for a second one so we could put it in the wash, then there was a whole world of these types of things around. But
very nice. So we have the soothers, and then you have the bibs, and then there are these gorgeous blankets, these double-sided blankets, and we've got several of them here. And then you've got some other bibs. And what is this here right in front of you that looks like, well, at first I thought it was a diaper, but what is that?
Well, those are burp cloths, and it is a diaper. It's made from a pre-fold cotton diaper.
An old-fashioned cotton diaper?
Cotton diaper. And, there's multiple layers of fabric in the middle, and it's just embellished with scraps of, different kinds of fabric. That it's soft, it's very washable. And they make great burp cloths because they're the perfect size. I won't do it with the microphone, but to throw on your shoulder, as you've got a child on your shoulder, and they wash up very nicely. They sell burp cloths, obviously, of various kinds in the stores, but a lot of them are very small, and they're not very absorbent.
Thin. Yeah, that's one thing that I was kid tested, and I had mentioned, maybe you should try making those, because I got a few of those that a friend of mine had made as a gift when I had my son. And you get a million burp cloths and things at baby showers, but they're like a single layer of cotton, which anybody who's ever been around a baby knows that if they spit up, it's not going to do anything for you. So those ones, they absorb a ton. So I mean, I would love to have just a whole box of those, and
I think it's really significant. I mean, I don't say this lightly. I think it is significant that you have a child at home, that you can test these things, on a child. And I love the idea of the old cloth cotton diapers getting a new use. I think that's very clever. So you have these really, really cool items, and other manufacturers, big manufacturers, big national, international names have them. What sets you apart in what you do? What do you think?
I think a big part of it is that we can customize, and that things are a little bit different. A lot of what we've done has been because it's not like a bib is new to the market or a burp cloth is new to the market, but the way that they're made and how they look are tailored based on things that we found were lacking. Like the burp cloths, like we said, that very few that they actually sell that really absorb what you need it to absorb. The full body bibs also, I've never seen that in the store.
No.
And having a son, and he's starting to feed himself, and all the bibs just cover the top of their chest, and when they start feeding themselves oatmeal and yogurt, it doesn't fall on their chest, it falls in their lap. So this covers them all the way down to their knees. So that's one of those things that, you know, you
Put the
you
little
don't find
straps
anywhere.
around your legs or not. But
Oh, and
So-
here's the little straps to put on. Oh, this is clever.
And, you know, things have been changed over time, even just in our own use with them. But there are things that you can't necessarily find in the store, and that's part of why they came to be, because, you know, it's hard to find. And I think even just, again, the way they look, the customization, a lot of these have been made because a certain customer wanted something because their kid liked cats or pigs, or, you know, a lot of my hats I only made because somebody said, hey, you know what, my kid really likes monkeys, so could you make a monkey hat? And, you know, then it comes to be. And
Or something with a little dinosaur teeth on it, or
certain colors. And you can't just go to a department store and pick out, you know, design your own item for your child. But it's fun because your children like certain things and certain colors, and it's nice to be able to kind of build your own thing, but have somebody else make it.
Yes. And I know, too, because I have several of your items, that everything is very, very nice quality. You really find good quality. And I've always said, because I make a lot of handmade things myself, people don't realize the value of time. And if you're going to put time into making something, get good material, get good quality material to work with. And I know you guys have done that as well. You also have these clever little tags on here, and I just removed one, but has care instructions on them as well. And everything is washable, right?
yes, and pretty much everything. Well, your hats it's a little different because they're knit item. It's more surface.
So those are more, surface clean,
wash.
but everything that's sewn.
Yeah, everything else here, and I buy the fabrics and I wash everything before I ever cut it up or do anything like that. It gets washed and dried already. So for one thing, with this fabric, it's minky fabric, it gets really soft. It's soft when you buy it, but it softens up even more nicely. And the flannel as well. Flannel just gets so beautifully soft and absorbent when you wash it and dry it.
It's all that love that goes into it.
It does soften it up, but also you don't want the chemicals that are from the dyeing and manufacturing process up against the baby's skin, when they get it. Or in the case of the soothers, they put these in their mouths too. So you want to make sure that it's something that's going to be safe for them to do that.
You've thought of everything.
And these things are. Chrissy writes our ad copy, and she's triple stitched for safety, and they are. I tag it on there, and then I sew it again, and then I sew it again, so it's not going to just come off in somebody's mouth.
We can stand behind it because I've been using these for years with my son, and he's got, even though he's had other ones that she's made for him, his original is the favorite, and there's one specific ribbon on it that it's his favorite tag, he calls it, and that one gets rubbed to sleep every night and every nap time, and over however many last couple of years he's had it, and it's been washed and dried and rubbed. It is not pulled off, so we can stand behind the fact that they can go through the wash, and kids and still survive.
And kid tested.
And certainly, I think that's the thing too, that when you buy something in the store, one of the things I do most of the time is I'll check the care label, because certainly with women's clothing, you'll get something, you get it home and find out that you can't just throw that in the washer or whatever, you have to hand wash it. Now certainly you don't want to do that with something for a small child, although a lot of things that are sold you can't just throw in the washer and dryer. So even that double-sided bib you showed, that has a waterproof liner in the middle, but I played around with different things to find something that can go in a dryer, and it can. It has ripstop nylon in the middle, so that is washable and dryable. Because what's the point of a bib that's going to get...
that you have to hand care for.
You can just throw it in the washer and the dryer.
So who came up with this very adorable little name?
I did.
That would be Chrissy.
It's so cute. It is just adorable.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. Teeny Beanies Bibs and More. So the patterns. We talked a little bit about the Body Bib, and this one I know you said you'd seen something similar to it before, and I know you have other bibs and you have blankets. Where do you get the designs? I mean, do you look at other things and you're inspired by them? Do you sit and make them up, or how does that work?
I think it's kind of a combination of things. The full body bib, I can't claim the idea. A relative had one just made of flannel at my house, and I thought it was a really neat idea. At that point, Owen wasn't feeding himself yet, but babies are messy when they eat. So I kept it in mind, and then I tweaked the idea. Like at first I made it with Velcro, which seemed very nice, and they're reversible, so the Velcro can go either way. Now I put snaps because it's a little easier, and they hold better because I also have a grandson who pulls bibs off. And it's a little harder to get it off when you've got a snap on it than Velcro. Velcro doesn't hold really well for that kind of thing. So.
Well, because I know you, Sharon, I know that your education and your training is as an engineer, and that you design water treatment plants, and I think about that. And then I think about what you're doing here, and with some of these bibs and the use of this new use of the diapers and stuff, I'm thinking there's a whole nother water treatment going on here.
That way.
But talk to me about how, because I always think that what we do at whatever stage in our life, somehow we are using tools or experience from the past. And plus, well, let's talk about the engineering. So that kind of thought process, how has that helped you in this business?
I think pretty much because I'm not following a pattern, I might see an idea and decide I'm going to run with it and tweak it or whatever. I'm not intimidated by the idea of doing that, or even when I knit things, and I think Chrissy's the same in this way. You take a little bit of this idea, that idea, you play around with it. I'm not afraid, and I think this even comes from the writing more, to rip something apart, and if it didn't work out, take it apart again, try something different, and really is a lot of trial and error as far as that goes, to see, and what's the best way to cut it out, what's the best way to put it together that's going to make it something that's reasonable to do as far as actually doing it myself, but also that it's going to be as safe or as useful or whatever. But I think that whole aspect of breaking something down into its parts and then putting it together.
My husband jokes that he thinks I tear out as many stitches as I knit in the end, because when you're making something new, I don't follow set patterns either, so you just you make it and you tear it out a little bit until you like it, and
then what happens when you want to repeat it? I mean, do you just remember? Do you jot down what you did, or
I've started doing little recipe cards, because at first when I was kind of just playing with a lot of different ideas, and then afterwards thinking, I have no idea what I just did. So I've gotten much better at writing it down, and I have them on little recipe cards, and that's my pattern, because I very rarely
hers are much more organized. I have I might have the ideas. I knit little cotton sundresses, and I've not found a pattern I like all of the patterns, so I have bits and pieces from different things. So I've got the various sheets of paper, and then I start writing notes in pencil, and I've got arrows, and it's really not very organized. Afterwards I can copy it over, but I'm not going to do something indelibly, because I may change what once I do it, I might not like it, and I might, as she said, rip it out again, and that does happen. So but it really is a matter of trial and error. And if you liken it to cooking, you don't necessarily like the way it came out, so you're going to tweak something else. It needs a little bit of this or a little bit less of that. Or
well, I'm thinking of like that basic sugar cookie recipe that you see in most magazines in December around the holiday season, and it's always, start with this and add this or this or whatever. You have a display of hats that I want to be sure that everybody gets to see, and I want to ask you if you have favorites. I mean, for each of you, if you have a favorite hat. Oh, look at that one that looks like a watermelon. Oh my gosh. Oh, how cute.
That's pretty much my favorite. I actually made a dress. I made a sundress that's a watermelon dress too. I don't have it. I sold it, but
and the tiger stripes. What is in the one next to it? Is that a cupcake?
That's a cupcake. Yeah, that's one of our most popular hats. Is the cupcake hat.
Gosh.
I always have to have the most of that when I go to a craft fair, but and it looks adorable. I haven't had any family members that have been small enough to try it on, but we had a girl try it on at our last craft fair, and she was absolutely adorable.
Oh, it was adorable. Look at that.
It's hard to tell in there, but there's even little flecks that look like sprinkles.
Like the sprinkles? Oh my gosh. So in terms of favorites, would it be safe to say the cupcake is your favorite?
Yeah, I think it just depends on what I've been working on. Sometimes I like those, and sometimes I also like the tiger hat. I like working with the it's very thick, soft yarn. I like that a lot too. Anything with ears.
Oh. And for you, the watermelon?
As far as what she makes, like I said, I have not made the hats at all.
Yeah.
But I do like the watermelon. The other things that I've made, I would say, I just like working with the soft fabrics the best of anything. It really is a very tactile job, basically.
Yes.
I mean, that's the feel of the fabrics, the ribbons. I mean, if they had these when I was small, I'm sure I would have had my favorite and I would have been clutching it everywhere I went, because everything is just, the colors are so vivid or the designs are so cute. I mean,
well, speaking of the designs,
huge stash of them.
Oh, I'm sorry. One of the things I noticed when you brought this stuff in, that everything is not flowers and butterflies, and I love flowers and butterflies, but you have so many other things that are appropriate for little girls and little boys. And that's, and of course, you have a son, so Owen, so I'm sure that was in your mind when you were making things too.
And I've always liked the more non-traditional baby color, you know, not just all pastels. And it's been shown that babies don't respond to, you know, light colors as much as bright, you know, blacks and whites and reds and things like that. And I think it's fun that way, you know, it's not just all, you know, baby blue, baby pink. They're nice, and they're, you know, we certainly have those in ours too, but I think it's nice to have a different variety.
I agree. Since you've been doing this now for a couple of years, what would you say the biggest challenges have been to the business? Sharon, what about you first? What do you think is a big challenge?
Probably finding your audience. Just, you know, like with anything, we've done craft shows where, I mean, people are literally pawing through the soothers or whatever, and I'm, you know, replenishing, because you only have so much space to display things. Usually I have things under the table as well. And then there's others where people will admire our things, but it's not the right season for them. Maybe they don't have a small child in their life or whatever. You know, but they will come up and comment or whatever, admire things. But finding your people that are going to go, you know, I think that's the biggest challenge, because you just have no idea at times.
Well, I think that's the way with anybody with a new business is, you know, how to get the word out, how to let people know about what you've got. Chrissy, let me ask you though too, other than, you know, letting people know what you have, what has been another challenge in starting a business? Because I think that there are probably a lot of people out there who would say, oh, I have a great idea for something and would love to start a business, but that's easier said than done.
Yeah, I think a little bit of what she was saying as far as, and I think a lot of ours has been finding which fairs, and this has been our first real full year of trying to go to a fair, probably, I would say about once a month or so, you know, in the summer and the fall we had a lot. So it's tricky just, you know, kind of determining which ones are going to be better than others, and it's really hard to say even now.
We hadn't been repeating. So
yeah, so you know, we're kind of just getting a feel for like what towns, what type of events work, what type of events might have the audience we're looking for, and even over a year, I would say that it's still tricky to find out because there's so many factors. And in this business particularly, you know, we went to some places we thought there would be great audience, and then had a horribly rainy, cold day, or you know, so there's just so many factors that you know, we had towels hanging from our tent to try to protect our things, and it's tough. So even after that, we really had no idea what that kind of place was. But the other thing I think too is kind of just knowing what to bring with us. It's so different every time. Like she said too, sometimes, you know, people are all over the hats and haven't got as much of the other things, and other times I barely sold any hats and they've been all over the soothers. You know, a certain kind of hat people love one time, and so I make a bunch for the next time, and none of them sell it the next time. And
you don't know.
So it's hard to know what factors are.
Well, I know you have a Facebook page so that people can go on there. They can see pictures of some of these things, and one of the things I really like is where you'll find pictures where people will have, you know, they'll show the hat on a child, or a child with the soother or something, and that's important, because I really do think that when you can say that you know, someone has used it and liked it, yeah, that's important. What about some of the? Has there been anything that you anticipated was going to be a problem and it turned out not to be so much of a challenge? Anything like that? See, my first thought when I look at this is the design. Like, I think in terms of writers, you know, because Sharon, you and I write, and I know for a lot of writers, it's like, oh, I'm going to face the blank page, and then you sit down and you start writing, and it's like, okay, once you start, it's okay. Did you guys have any anxiety about the designs or where you were going to get the materials or anything like that? That was like, oh, turned out to be a no-brainer?
For me, it's been a no-brainer. It's sort of like with the writing, really, that I don't know that I'll ever run out of ideas, because, you know, you could walk through a Joann's or AC Moore or Michael's, or, you know, that's pretty much the limit in the area for places to find the materials. and ideas just kind of jump out at me. Or say being somewhere in a park or whatever where there are a bunch of people with children and just watching what they do. And certainly I babysit Owen, and I get lots of ideas from watching him in action as well. And so I have lots of ideas, and I have to say I've not been intimidated by any of them particularly, but I know that I can just rip it apart and start over again and try something different. So,
well, I know that the Etsy site, because I know that your items are available there, and one of the purposes of that site is to be able to showcase items that are handmade. What do you think is the growing popularity for items that are handmade?
I don't know, I feel like maybe part of it is just in this economy, more people are doing things, more do-it-yourself type of thing, where, people may not have as much money to, go out and buy everything. So I think when people have done some do-it-yourself, they have more appreciation when they see other people who have, made things by hand. It's hard to appreciate it when you don't truly understand how much work and thought goes into it.
Yeah. I think that is part of it, and just I think a growing appreciation for people to buy. People are talking about buying local, more buy from local vendors and small businesses, and this is a small business. There's that whole direct to consumer kind of an aspect to it. It's not an impersonal corporation. It's not manufactured in some factory someplace else. And I mean, I've worked in factories, and you do the best you can with what you've got, but it's very impersonal. You're not thinking about the person you're making for. I think about the people I'm making it for.
Yes.
Or in general terms at least, and often Chrissy gets specific hat orders. She's definitely thinking about the person who's going to be wearing it.
I always hope I would eventually get a picture of them wearing it.
Yeah, of course. Did you, I don't know that that anything would really be classified as a mistake. It's all part of a learning experience. But in terms of items that you would want to make, to offer to the public, would you consider anything like, oh, that was a mistake, we used fabric that shrank, or we used something that melted, or anything like that in the past?
I think with the yarns, just over time, sometimes you can't tell until you've knit with it that it's not as good quality as you want to use. So there's certain brands that I used to buy and don't buy anymore, because once I actually made something with it, I didn't want to give it to somebody, It's hard to tell when it's in the skein, but...
Yeah.
What about, let's talk about your ideal customer. I mean, I look at this and I think my first thought is, well, of course, somebody who's having a baby. That's ideal. And I have a friend. I'm going to a shower here pretty soon, and I'm thinking, well, I know what I'm going to get. There's so much to choose from. But other than like somebody like me wanting to buy a gift for someone, well, the mom, of course, the mom and the dad who would get gifts. Do you look at that and say that's my ideal customer?
I think that's probably the ideal customer.
That or grandmother.
Yeah. Aunts and uncles and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I think we've had non-traditional customers where people have. I've had adult men buy hats from me. Obviously not like the cupcake. But,
your first order, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was my first one. Yeah,
coworker.
So people just come in, they like the quality, and they're like, "Do you think you can make this for an adult?" And which we had. Oh, of course, yeah.
Gosh.
And a couple of teenagers too. A lot of times, there's a lot of hats out there now.
You did what? A cupcake. A cupcake bought for her friend,
and
a tiger for herself,
and a monkey.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of them out there now, and honestly, personally, I don't think they're nearly as cute as the ones you can make, So that was kind of nice, and they were repeat customers. So
I think that's a great idea, and I have to tell you, ladies, thank you very, very much for bringing all of this in today, so that we could show it to the audience. So thank you to Sharon Schulze and thank you, Chrissy Brault, for bringing all this in, teeny beanies, bibs, and more. And let me also say a thank you to my Full Bloom crew, and I say this every week, and I mean it sincerely. I really, really do know the value of time, and I appreciate the fact that once again you chose to spend an evening with me. Thank you. Join us again next time.
Full Bloom is brought to you in part by the following: